So we're going to be doing 7-4 today, subtracting expressions, and it's no big deal. All we got to do is remember that when you subtract two algebraic expressions, you distribute the minus sign as you remove the parentheses. So as you look at this example that's already done, there was absolutely nothing that changed about the first one. But as they distributed that negative sign or that minus sign, they're kind of pretending like it's a -1, and they're multiplying all of this by -1. That changes the positive to a negative and the positive to the negative. That's all it is. All minuses are a negative. So this one is not going to change at all. And this is going to become a -2 or a -2. And this is going to become a -11x. I've dropped all the parentheses. There was nothing here to distribute. Okay, and then I'd be ready to combine like terms. I'm going to go ahead and just go through and do the distributing first. This would become a negative, and this would become a positive. I have a minus sign and a negative, and we know that when we're minusing a negative, that really means plus. So the 5 became a negative, and the x became a positive. It made everything in here the opposite of what it is. I am multiplying it by an imaginary -1, or I'm thinking of it as take the opposite. The number that came before did not change. This was a variable, but it's standing in the place of a number. So again, the 12g minus 7 does not change at all. There's nothing to distribute. But here, as I distribute that -1, everything becomes the opposite. The g becomes a negative, and the 8 becomes a positive, because a negative minus is a positive. This 8 is a -8, but all minuses 8s are a -8. And the opposite of a negative is a positive. That is so hard for some kids. So on the homework, that might be all they ask you to do on a couple problems, is just show me that you understand how to make these the opposite. How hard is that? Make it the opposite. Then after you've done that once or twice, they're going to make you go on and actually combine like terms. If you want to rearrange the terms, remember this means 1x, this means -11x. So I'm going to be adding together those. Some people like them next to each other. Some people are like, I could skip that step. And this gives me -10 because I have a positive and a negative I subtract. Then this one here is a -4 and a -2. Okay, remember all minuses are a negative. So a -4 and a -2 gives me a -6. I don't need a plus sign right here. I'm going to stop myself from putting a plus sign right there. Plus a negative is minus. Here, the 1x and the 1x can come together. I know this was a subtraction problem, but after I rewrote it, those x's both are positive. So that gives me 2x. I'm actually adding. And then the -5, he has no friends. I stop there. That's it. That's my answer. Okay, 12g and -1g. I am adding those together. All minuses are a negative. That's -11g. This is -7 and a +8. I am adding together a positive and a negative, so I am going to subtract. And what do I have more of? I have more of the 8. His absolute value is larger, so my answer is a positive. All done. That's what you're going to be doing today. Eventually, we're going to roll on and see some harder problems that look like this. So this really looks very similar to what you were doing on the front up there. So this, instead of just distributing a negative, you're distributing a -7. I sometimes think that kids do these better. 9 does not change, but -7 times 2x is -14x, and -7 times -4 is +28. So that's distributing the -7. Why is it a negative? All minuses are a negative. Now he has no like terms. How sad. But these are like terms. I can add those together. So let's see. 9's positive and 28's positive. So that would be 37. There's my answer. Okay, Mac Daddy problem here. I'm going to have a lot of distributing. We're going to see a lot of these as we move into our 8th grade level equations. So let's see, I'm distributing 9 there, multiplying everything by 9, and that's negative 36. I times them both by 9. Here I'm going to times them both by 3. Okay. And now I'm going to group together the things that look the same. The 18 and another 18x. And then I guess I could group together the negative 36 and the negative 3. I am adding those two together. So let's see, these guys give me 36x. And these guys, I'm adding them. Notice that 36 is a negative. A lot of kids will miss that. A lot of kids will tell me the answer here is 33. But it's not. It's negative 39 for the constant. The answer is the whole thing. What would m be to make this equation true? Well, let's see. If I distribute that, that would give me negative 14x, and that would give me negative 28. So the m here would need to be a negative 28. These match, but this here is a 28 that happens to be negative. So that m would need to be negative 28 for those to match up.